Hello, everybody. Welcome back to High End Sports. I'm Ocean.
How's it? I'm John.
And today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk to you guys about the college football playoffs and the top 4 teams that are headed to the playoffs. And we're going to give our thoughts on that stuff. Let's just run real quick through the top 10 rankings that the regular season has finished, right? At number 10, we got USC. Shout out to Caleb Williams, the Heisman Trophy winner. Sucks that you guys got blown out by Utah. Otherwise, you probably would have been in the top 4. But
Wait, you said USC is at 10?
yeah,
They went from 4 to 10?
I know. We'll talk about that. Number 9, we got Kansas State. Number 8, Utah. Number 7, Clemson. I don't know why the Clemson is in the top 10. And number 6, Tennessee. Sorry, Hendon Hooker, man. That's a huge bummer. Number 5, Alabama, because, Alabama. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the top 4 teams headed to the college football playoffs. Number 4, Ohio State, even though they got the butts handed to them by Michigan. Number 3, TCU. What?
Actually, TCU
no,
is
not
a hell
like
of a
what,
team, but that's crazy.
I'm not saying what, like, they don't deserve to be there. I'm saying they're like, what, like, since when is TCU a top 10 college football team? Number 2, Michigan.
Michigan's been up there the past few years, man.
Michigan looks good this year. And then number 1, Georgia, the reigning champs.
Georgia is like sitting at number 1 so far ahead of everyone else. It's like, it's weird. It's a weird concept.
It's weird that, they're the reigning champs, right? And what's most impressive about the fact that Georgia is still number 1 is that, like, their entire team got drafted this year.
Right, yeah.
And they somehow are still number 1. So, I don't know. I think it's a testament to the program building that they have going on there. Seems like they are trying to rival Alabama for being, the next dynasty. Yeah. The fact that Alabama is still number 5 is pretty crazy to me. They have 2 losses, don't they?
Yep, 2 losses.
Yeah.
Should have been 3. They should have lost to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I don't know how they pulled that game out of their ass, but.
So, yeah. But, I mean, Alabama's Alabama, so I'm not, like, while I don't agree with it, I'm not surprised they're number 5.
And you said Tennessee's at 6?
Yeah.
So, actually, for those who don't know, 5 and 6 play in the Rose Bowl.
Oh.
I'm, like, 95% sure about that.
I didn't know that.
So, I could be. I'm, like, 95% sure of that because I read it on the college football playoffs thing.
Well,
but
that sucks for Tennessee.
Yeah.
Because, unfortunately, without Hendon Hooker, they're just not going to be. I mean, they might. I don't know. You never know, I guess, but that sucks because Hendon Hooker deserves to play in that game.
So, actually, something that I want to talk about before we get into, like, the top 4 is there was something weird that happened this year, and don't expect that you were watching it, but there's 1 week where Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and I think number 4 at the time was Tennessee. They all had, like, really, like, what is it called? Like a upset alert. All in the same week. It was the weirdest thing.
That's right. I know what you're talking about because
Michigan almost lost to Illinois.
Yes.
TCU should have lost to Baylor.
Yes.
But they pulled that one out of their hat. And then I think Tennessee, that was the game that I think Hendon Hooker tore his ACL, and they ended up losing to someone.
And Georgia almost lost.
Right. I don't know who they're playing.
They actually should have lost too, but
yeah.
I remember because I watched that game. I was like, holy crap. It was some team that shouldn't have even been a problem for them.
But it was just a weird weekend where it's like every team at the same time, the top 4 teams in the college football playoffs were on upset alert. I just thought it was weird. We should point that out. That was pretty interesting.
I ain't saying stuff is scripted or rigged, but if you are somebody out there that believes that, like, the NFL and even college football is rigged, that's probably something that they would bring up, But But no, I mean, it just, to me, it just goes to show that on any given day, any given team can beat anyone. You
Yeah.
know,
Even
yeah,
though it's harder in college football to do that.
it is definitely harder, but it's just, I think that's part of what keeps teams chugging forward. You know, especially a team like TCU who
Yeah.
hasn't gotten respect for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't think that's the sole reason why they're where they're at now, but just that mentality. If you're able to build that mentality within your locker room, that hey, I don't care, what our program has done in the past or who people think we are. If we win, we win.
Right.
And that if you go out there and you work hard and you do your best, you have a chance.
Right.
Yeah. So, top four, man.
I feel like Ohio State deserved to get in the top 4 with USC getting blown out by Utah. Like I feel like if it was a close game, I would have been
Yeah.
okay with USC staying in the top 4.
I just don't understand how they go from 4 to 10.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
That's crazy. Like,
and they're behind Utah too.
yeah, and they have the Heisman Trophy winner on their team.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever.
So the games are right 1 and
Right,
4, 2
1
and
4,
3.
2 and 3. So, what are your predictions for the championship? Who do you think is making it to the championship? Let's say out of 1 and 4, Georgia versus Ohio State, who wins that game?
It's such a hard game, man. Because if the Ohio State that backs down to adversity, if that team shows up like how they showed up against Michigan, they're gonna get mollywopped by Georgia.
Yeah,
But also, Ohio State has it's not like Alabama playing Cincinnati last year.
right.
Like Ohio State has the talent, has the schemes, has everything to match up head to head against Georgia. I still think Georgia's pulling out the win.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty clear cut winner of who's winning that game. There's a chance that Ohio State pulls it out. Like I
Right.
said, any given day, maybe the best Georgia team doesn't show up, and maybe a better Ohio State team shows up. But I think the Georgia team is so good that even a slightly off Georgia team still beats a good Ohio State team.
Yeah, I think it's a little closer than you do, but I do agree. I think Georgia pulls out the win.
All right, 2 and 3, Michigan versus TCU. Who wins that game?
Man, it's such a hard game to
Yeah,
predict.
this one is close to me.
I think that the Michigan that showed up against Ohio State was probably. I think that Michigan beats Georgia.
Yeah, I would agree.
But the thing is, then I think it was the week before, where they almost lost to Illinois and stuff, or a few weeks before.
I think it was a few weeks before that.
If that Michigan team shows up, TCU, they don't give up. Like that's
Yeah.
something that I didn't watch the K-State game that they lost,
Yeah.
which is why I don't know. I was surprised they managed to stay at 3 with that loss.
Well, there's no other undefeated team in the top 10 though.
Right.
So
Right,
like
so-
everybody after the top, or everybody after the 2 undefeated teams
Has
all
one
have one loss.
1 or 2 losses.
And
yeah.
TCU is definitely the best one loss team.
Right. And but I was just surprised because sometimes the AP
Yeah.
poll
No, I know. what you mean.
they'll I really thought they were gonna find a way for Alabama to make it into the top 4.
Yeah.
But they didn't. So hats off to them for realizing that what they would have done would have been a mistake.
Yeah.
But man, Michigan TCU is such a hard game to call. I just think talent wise, they can't match up to Michigan as like they want to. So
I'm gonna go dark horse. I think TCU's got it.
TCU's
I think
gonna pull
TCU's
upset.
gonna win. And the only reason why I think TCU is gonna win because I think they're riding that Cinderella story.
That's true.
I think that nobody, not a single person, thought
Right.
TCU was going to be anything.
and
this year.
their quarterback has
he has
that
Yeah.
weird factor where it's like he's not the best quarterback in the nation.
but if he's on, he's unstoppable.
Right. And he loves his team. He
Yeah.
loves the sport. You can tell. He's like Taylor Heineke basically,
Right.
but better.
Yeah.
Like better at being a quarterback.
Yeah. So I think that the the Cinderella story is going to keep TCU alive in this game. I think they're going to win. The one thing that I think Michigan doesn't have going for it is they haven't faced a whole lot of adversity this season. And when they do face adversity, some like even though they're still undefeated, like they kind of break a little bit. The only game that they didn't do that was the
Right.
Ohio State game, but that's the biggest rivalry in
Right.
college sports. So
So I actually agree with you. I think Michigan, I wouldn't say necessarily breaks, but I think they're a little slow to get
Right.
up is like a better analogy.
You're probably right.
Because I mean they pulled that Illinois game out, but it took them to the end of the fourth quarter to like wake up and
Right.
like
And realize like, hey, we gotta actually
yeah.
and then so that means for you, your championship is Georgia, Michigan. My championship is Georgia, TCU. Who do you have winning your championship between Georgia and Michigan?
Man, my heart and my mind are telling me two separate things. Because my heart tells me, my heart is telling me, finally get Michigan that national title. Finally get Harbaugh. It's Jim, right? Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, Jim.
That national title. But I don't see them beating Georgia. If Georgia makes it to the championship. I think this might be the closest four teams from my perspective, like the closest four teams out of any playoff, because I think Georgia beats Ohio State, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State upsets.
Yeah.
I think Michigan beats TCU, but I would not be surprised if TCU puts it into a dogfight and they just don't give up.
They come out
they come out on top.
These definitely are going to be some exciting games to watch. As far as my championship goes, I don't think TCU beats Georgia. The Cinderella story, I think the clock is going to strike midnight that day. I think it'll be a dogfight. I think that TCU is going to throw everything they got, and they're going to do everything they can. And if they end up winning, then I'm not going to be upset or surprised. I think it'll be awesome. It's going to be an amazing story. But I think that Georgia, I don't know. For some reason, I think that Georgia is just, they're bulletproof, man.
Yeah.
They really don't have very many, if at all, any weaknesses. And I just don't think that TCU has it.
That's a fair. That's fair.
On average, like maybe like 4 out of 10 times TCU might be able to win, or maybe 3 out of 10 times. But I think Georgia's got the national title back to back years.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think the likelihood is that Georgia wins, but I would love to see Michigan holding that trophy.
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind either Michigan or TCU holding that trophy. I don't like Ohio State. And Georgia, like, I don't really have anything against Georgia per se. I just,
I think Georgia's becoming that next Alabama where it's like, you don't really have anything against Alabama, but you love to see them lose.
Yeah.
But so final topic for this, this video that I want to talk about your quick point of view of the new college football playoff coming next year, where it's 12 teams.
Okay, so this is something that I haven't done a whole lot of research into, but it's actually a very strong opinion of mine that this 4-team college playoff is horrible. I hate it. I think it's ridiculous that you're narrowing the top teams in the entire country down to 4 people that get to fight for the national championship. I think it's ridiculous. I think the bowl game system was worse, but I think this system is not it either. So I don't know. I know of the fact that they're changing the system, so maybe you can explain it a little bit more to me, and I can give my thoughts. But I'm just happy that they're doing something else, and they realize that this four-team system is just not it. It's not the right thing to do.
So the information that is out there is not very much. I think that college football playoff is the brand is probably trying to save that until after the new championship is announced. from what I've seen, I don't know how the 12-team playoff will work.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I think that 12 teams might be a mistake.
Why do you think so?
I truly think that last season, where Cincinnati made the playoff, undefeated team, but got absolutely mollywopped by Alabama. I think to me that proves that there are not that many teams in the top 25 that can compete with the 1% college football programs.
Sure.
And what I don't want to see is a team like let's say who's at number 11? Do you know who number 11 is?
Number 11 is Penn State.
You like, let's say even if the first few teams get a bye or whatever, I don't know how they're going to do it, but let's
Right.
say
You put Penn State against like TCU.
you put Penn State against TCU, put Penn State against Ohio State, you put Penn State against Alabama, you put Penn State against even Tennessee. I think up until you get to Tennessee, they're getting blown out by all of those 5 teams. Blown out in a college football playoff.
Yeah.
You take Penn State, even I think Tennessee at 6 is a little hard for me just because Hendon Hooker's not there. Hendon Hooker is hurt, so he's not playing.
Right.
But who's at 7?
7 is Clemson.
Penn State versus Clemson might be a close game, but I don't see Penn State winning.
Yeah.
I don't see Penn State beating Utah. I don't see Penn State beating. Well, they might beat K-State. They might beat USC. But this is what I'm talking about. It's like, who's at 12?
Washington.
Washington ain't beating anybody before that. I don't think Washington would even beat Tennessee.
Yeah.
Who's at 13?
Florida State.
Or I guess Florida State. So let's say Florida State maybe had a better season than whoever was right before them. Washington. And they sneak into 12. Florida State ain't beating. Said Florida State. I'm losing my mind.
Yeah.
Florida State ain't beating anybody else in the top 10.
I think you're right 9 out of 10 times, right? You're right 9 out of 10 times. However, I don't think, maybe 12 might be too much.
Yeah.
Maybe 10, maybe 8. I don't know, something like that. But the top 4, I think there are more teams than 4 teams in the entire nation that should be able to compete for the top honors.
I think it's a balance, right?
Right.
But I just...
And you can also structure it differently too, right? It doesn't have to be 1v10, 2v8 or whatever.
Right. What I don't want is, I don't want the better teams having an easier route to a championship. I think the difference between pro and college is that pros, they all the worst team in the league and the best team in the league and pro, you could put them against each other, and more times than in college, the worst team in the league would beat the best team in the league.
Yeah.
Like, you put Texans against Philadelphia. It was a close game.
It was a close game this year, yeah.
But you put Minot State.
Well, let's go Division 1. Let's put Hawaii versus Georgia.
Yeah. You put Hawaii against Georgia. It's never going to be close.
9 out of 10. No. You can't say never.
I don't think Hawaii would.
You can't say never.
Okay, we'll say...
You can't say never.
We'll put 99 out of 100 times.
All right, 99 out of 100 times.
It's a mollywop.
Yeah.
And maybe 1 at a time.
Where's this word coming from, mollywop? You just...
That's probably one of those Midwest terms that I picked up.
Ever since we started the podcast, you started saying mollywop. I haven't even heard that before this.
But...
No, you're right. It's definitely a different level of play.
What I want for college football is I want to see the best teams play each other. And because, there's some few teams that are moving to the SEC, moving divisions and stuff. But I think college football, maybe 4 is too little, 12 is too much. I want to see the best teams play the best teams.
Yeah. No, I agree with you that like we want to see good
Right.
stuff because we don't want to see a bunch of blowout games
Right.
leading up to that. Plus, it just makes like if Georgia has to go through two playoff games to get to the better teams, the chances of it wearing down the team, people getting
Right.
hurt and stuff is greater,
Yeah.
right? Um, so I do agree with that. 12 might be a little too much, unless they structure it differently. Like what I would like to see is maybe a two-tier system where like if you have 12 teams, right? Let's say 12 teams, top six get a bye, right? And
Yeah.
then the bottom six play, and or maybe top four get a bye, and then top eight or bottom eight play that first weekend, and then the top two or whatever out of the bottom eight end up in the top, or I don't know. I just think that uh, what you're doing by limiting it to four people is limiting the chance for breakout teams, and you're also limiting the teams that are on the fringe from ever being able to make it over that breaking point.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like teams like Washington, um, Kansas State, Utah, Penn State, like all those teams, like they're they're never gonna break that top four because they're never gonna be able to they're never gonna be able to play at that level. And so because they never have a chance to play at that level, they're never gonna get there.
Right.
So by giving them a chance to work their way towards that, then you can begin to elevate all of
Right.
the fringe teams or programs so that you can have a 10 maybe 10 people or 10 teams in the college football playoffs that are all like good, you know what I mean? So maybe not 10 because I mean even pro they only have 7, right? So or well 14,
14.
but it's two different conferences. So uh but just I just think that we need more people playing for a higher reward or a higher
Right.
um thing in order to elevate the program so that college football as a whole gets to be
Right.
elevate.
So actually, one final question.
Yeah.
Do you think that the increase of teams in the college football playoffs will decrease the amount of players, senior players, or players who are going to go to the NFL from skipping out of bowl games?
Um. Oh, you mean people that declare for the draft or that are going to go to the draft, not playing their
Right. They
final?
skip out of their bowl games because they don't want to risk getting hurt.
Do I think
Because
it'll
they're not.
increase?
No, decrease the amount of players because that's actually something that has been talked out as a bit of an issue. Is a lot of
Yeah.
teams in bowl games that are meaningless. I mean, you get a trophy, but they're
Yeah.
pretty meaningless.
Yeah.
Like a lot of players there, like, oh, I'm not playing in that. Like
Well, why
I'm going.
would
To,
you?
I'm going to the league. Right.
Yeah. Why would you? It's the same concept for the Pro Bowl. That's
Right.
why the Pro Bowl is a flag football game now.
Yeah.
So, I think it would decrease, and I think that, uh, as a business and as a brand of college football, you need that in order to stay viable, right? You need to have your best players playing on the field when the cameras are on, and I understand from the player's perspective that they're like, oh, I'm trying to make it to the league. I don't want to get hurt. But if you make those teams that have those players have a chance for fighting for a higher
Right.
reward for the end of the season, players are going to realize that that only elevates their chances of getting into the league, right? Look at Jameson Williams, right? Jameson
Right.
Williams had a torn ACL in the draft and he still went top 10.
Yeah.
Right? And it's because, or like what a big reason why I think it is because he was in a top echelon program that was fighting for a national championship. And without that, you just don't have that. You don't have that
Pedigree.
behind you. So, you know, you're not as desirable. So I think it would elevate everybody. if more people were able to fight for a national championship
Yeah, that's fair.
outside of the 12-game season, right?
Yep.
Is it 12 games? 12 games, right?
12, I think.
Yeah, it's 12 games. 12-game season.
Yeah. Well, let us know what you guys think.
Yeah.
Do you think that the college football playoffs moving to 12 teams will be beneficial, not be beneficial? Do you think 12 is the right move? Let us know what you guys think.
And let us know what you got or who you think is going to win the college football playoffs this year.
And why
Who's
it's
winning the national
Georgia.
championship? Who is going to win the national championship? I do like Alabama, but I'm actually pretty excited for the first ever college playoffs without Alabama involved.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun. Games are on the first 2 games are on December 31st.
Championship is on my birthday.
And
January 9th.
Championship is on January 9th. It's gonna be an exciting one, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you guys stay tuned to High Indie Sports. We're gonna be breaking down some more stuff this week. Look forward to a World Cup episode, Thursday night football episode, and I don't even know what else. We got a lot of stuff coming for you. So let us know what you guys think down in the comments below. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate your support. Please like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends. Check out our social media links down in the description below. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode.